Good evening. This is your boy Humble Dad, aka Dr. Elijah Glenn, and thank you for joining in today. We're going to be talking about somewhat of a delicate subject and deeply caring parts of parenting that I never thought that I would have to face, and that's helping our children navigate through grief when loss comes into their lives. We'll be reflecting on powerful conversations from the Abundant Life Family podcast titled Helping Your Children Through Grief and Loss, which offers practical insight from a Christian perspective. Then we'll pause and ask, what does the Bible say about children, grief, and our role as parents in guiding them? Whether you're face, whether your child is facing the loss of a loved one, a change that feels like loss, or simply the raw hurt of life's unexpected pain. If you're a parent, grandparent, guardian, or mentor, this episode is for you. Let's open our hearts, ground our hope in scripture, and walk together so our children don't walk alone. And so I wanted to play for you this video, and we'll start here. So listen in and understand what the perspective is and why we got here.
My brother passed away just a month ago with a long battle with cancer. And, I was at his service and it was really powerful, but I happened to look over at a family member who was crying. And it was a beautiful moment to just see the family all together, standing together, grieving for the loss of my brother. And I looked over at one of the younger family members, and he was about 12, and he was standing there very stoic. And it made me think, oh my goodness, like the importance and the power of helping our children grieve. And as parents, sometimes we don't know how to grieve, let alone if our children
Right.
are grieving. And it just struck me like this would be a podcast. And I know that's hitting home for me. So I'm excited to hear about some of the things that
Right.
tips and things to be looking for as parents, and to really we talk all the time about being intentional, but again, just really being intentional about helping. Grief is going to come.
And that's the thing that I was not prepared for going into loss of my children's mother, my late wife, Janir. I kind of figured that I did not know what to do. So I can't say that I figured anything. The thing that I did understand is that I had to get myself together first. And by getting myself together, that meant that I needed to get counseling. And so what I did is got myself counseling, and then I got my children counseling, because the grief that I was facing, I couldn't even imagine the grief that they were facing, because they had been with their mother. They've been with their mother almost every day, right? And what I mean by every day, I mean the fact of that they were homeschooled, and so they would see her every day, and she would communicate to them in a way that I couldn't. The hugs were gone, the conversations about life, the conversations about the next video game or what was out at that particular time. And so I was unaware of all the things that she was doing in the background when I was It is always something. It is always something. It's always something. And so, as I was saying, I wanted to hear what this young lady had to say in her perspective of what could we do to help our children um, handle and deal with grief, because it's a part of life and it's not something that anybody prepares you for. And so I wanted to give the opportunity to kind of help the young people with what it is that parents don't necessarily know how to navigate that. And so here we go.
So it's so important to learn to grieve. I had a client come in and her brother had an accident, and her parents were grieving and didn't know how to help her. And so
Yeah.
she grew up.
How old
not
was she
knowing.
when this accident
She was
happened?
around 6 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah. And so losing her brother and not her parents were just, she felt abandoned. And so it's very important that we help our kids to grieve and know how to grieve ourselves
Yeah.
as adults. So
And of course, I will be on mute. You have to be able to help the people, these young people, understand that this is a part of life. But however, this is going to be challenging in how you face these feelings that you never knew existed until this person passed away. And especially if it's someone that's dear to you. So let's continue.
we have that has been researched 5 stages in grief. And the first initial stage is denial. And so at first we don't know, what's going on. We're confused. We don't know how to go forward. We don't know how to live without this person. And it's, we shove our emotions down, but this is kind of a defense mechanism for us as well
Sure.
to get through that time. Yeah. And then we go into a stage, it's called an anger stage, but that could be looked so many different ways. It doesn't have to look like anger. It can look at like so many different emotions. And in this stage, we're wrestling and we're wrestling with, we can be mad at like parents, or we can be mad at, something, another person or God. And so all these angry feelings kind of come up and are different feelings.
And that happened with my children. There was one that was angry with me. There was one that was angry with God and may still be having some disposition toward God. And so, and as a result, it's like, what do I do with this? Because you're upset at me. I'm upset at myself as well. And so how do I navigate being able to help you when you believe that I'm the reason that you're hurting? Right. And so these stages of denial, anger, they happen in the course of any time. That it can happen at any time. And so as a result, since it can happen at any time, you don't know how to properly position your kid to know how to navigate that if they've never faced it before. And so we'll see what she says, and how first we got to make sure that we know what those stages are. And then we're going to have to tackle how to handle those particular stages. So let's listen in. So let's see. Let's go back. They was talking about the stages. I'm just not together, man. You got to,
Mhm.
Yeah. And then
let's see.
her parents were just, she felt abandoned.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so it's very important that we help our kids to grieve and know how to grieve ourselves as
Yeah.
adults. So we have that we has been researched 5 stages in grief. And the first initial stage is denial. And in this stage,
Question. Yeah,
Include like
feelings kind of come up.
because if you've ever lost someone, you know that these stages or this wave of grief happens, and you never know when it's coming, and as a result, you don't necessarily prepare for it if you haven't been given tools. So just imagine a kid having these emotions hit them at any given time. So he asked this question for those that don't have not prepared or just want to know. Here you go.
Up and our different feelings.
going back to the denial one.
Bro, the devil would not let me be great. Like I don't understand why. I don't understand why it won't let me do the things that I need to do. However, the video is trying to communicate the different ideas, the different levels of grief. And there are 5 different levels of grief that take place. And your child will experience all of them at some particular point. Acceptance will be last, and then it'll come back to denial and sometimes, and then it'll go through anger. It will do these cycles, and then there will be a situation where there is a blame game for themselves. What could I have done? Right. And my children have not told me that they have come to the point of saying, well, I take that back. As I revisit, a couple of them have said, well, I feel like it was my fault, man. If I would have just did this, if I would have just known, and just trying to help them see that there was no several years